Hello guys, Orlando Breloom here, and today I'm going to be showing you some decks that I think can be good before the new Sun and Moon base set is released, and some of them even after. Some of them will come as a bit of a surprise to you. Some of them will be pretty obvious, like the big decks. Obviously I have to include them because they're playable, and this is about playable decks that I think can be good. There are decks that aren't in here that people are going to be like, why haven't you said this deck? Basically, I don't like that deck. Basically, Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, don't really like it. Other decks, leave them in the comment section below, and we can discuss about them as well. Okay, so I'll see you in a little bit with my first deck. Okay, so coming in at 9, 10 and maybe 8 as well, there are going to be some decks that can be good and should be, depending on what people are playing. So the first deck is going to be this Fight Alone Lucario deck. I did post a video about a different kind of build than this one. The main differences are Buddy Rescue, Karen's gone, and some other things have gone and things have gone in, and yeah. Also cut the amount of Clef Key because they're not really needed. It's just nice to buy a turn against mega decks, and Cobalion helps to buy a turn for you to set up against basic decks. So what this deck does is this Fight Alone attack. If you have fewer Pokemon on your in play than your opponent, this attack does 60 more damage for each fewer you have. So say you have a Lucario and a Riolu on the bench, or a Lucario and a Cobalion on the bench, and your opponent has 5 on their bench, you have 4 fewer. So 4 times 6 is... what is wrong with me? 4 times 6 is 24. So you're doing 270 damage. Wow. This hits hard. And against Gardevoir, you don't even they don't even need that many on their bench. So them getting rid of their bench Pokemon isn't that important if you can Body Rescue and then Captivating Pokepuff, or N and then Captivating Pokeball, force them to bench something, or yeah, you can be doing more damage. You hit for weakness, their Gardevoir has no answer, and it's gone. It's also not one hitting you unless they get rid of their bench. If they get rid of their benches too early, they're only doing 90, and then you can knock them out. And if they've got rid of all their bench to knock you out the previous turn, you bench them out. Which has happened a few times because they're thinking they're being good, and their teammates evolve energy, boom. It was like evolve energy. I think I managed to do a Buddy Rescue Captivating Pokepuff as well, and they had a Shaman and a Hawlucha or something in their hands. I benched those. I had nothing on my bench. That's 2, and it's times 2, and then yeah. So you can see how the damage can add up, especially against weak decks. So that's this deck. Have a look at the list. If you have any suggestions on the list, let me know. Let's move on to number 9 or 10 or 8 because they're sort of all together. Okay, so this next deck is Garchomp. Probably not going to see much play. It is already not seeing a lot of play, but it's probably not going to be seeing much play out once Sun and Moon is released, because it's GXs, not EXs. So it'll be GXs, and EXs are just, they're different, and this does more damage on an EX and not a GX. So that's that. This build is basically an energy denial build as well, just to slow them down, and hopefully you can set up. I could probably get rid of Pokemon Ranger, put in a Delinquent, or when Sun and Moon is released you could put in a Team Skull Grunt or a Team Flare Grunt now instead of Pokemon Ranger. It's up to you. This is what I like this is what I like to do. I'm probably going to get rid of the Pokemon Ranger and put Delinquent in though, because I like a Delinquent. This is a really cool deck. It sets itself up, and it can hit hard, even against Evoltolls and other things. You can still knock them out. The only problem is you've lost in the rotation. You have lost what do you call them? What do you call it? The Focus Sash, which stops you from getting one hit KO'd, but it's not too bad against an EX deck because we do have a Bursting Balloon, which helps against Megas and other things. So yeah, that's that deck. Why am I saving it? I don't even know. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so coming in at number 8, we have Mega Blastoise, which has just received a Spirit Link. This is a really nice attack. We all know what Mega or Dino did, and this can basically do the same thing, but to 2 Pokemon. It can 2-hit KO Pokemon on the bench, like a Froakie or a whatever else has 60 HP or less. Oh my god. So this is a energy denial build again, just because it is quite clunky and yeah, just not great to get out, which is why it could be good, but it's not going to be good. But it's good. It's all right. It could be good, but it's not going to be good, but it's good. I'm just contradicting myself everywhere. I like this deck. It can surprise a few people because they probably think you are playing some sort of weird Greninja thing at first, with, I don't know, like I have no idea what this could be. But yeah, I like it, but it's not great in a tournament that you're going to be paying £50 or dollars to enter. I'd say play it at a league or a league challenge, just because it's not that high risk at one of those. At a league it's just for fun, so you can play this at a league. I have done. I lost every game I played. Greninja is a hilarious matchup for this because you're putting out Rough Seas, and Greninja's not going to get rid of Rough Seas. They can heal the extra damage that you're doing to their bench, and it's just like, ugh. But if you can get a Garbodor out, you can 2-hit a Greninja break. But yeah, I lost to Greninja a lot. Delinquent is good in any deck. I'm just going to say that right now. Any deck, every deck should be running a Delinquent, or possibly when Sun and Moon comes out, switch out for a Team Skull Grunt. Gonna say that. Okay, so let's see what's going to be at number 7. Okay, so coming in at number 7, we have Gyarados, the ancient trait Theta Double with full retaliation. This is a really nice deck. Meowstic is not needed. I have it in the build I'm showing you because I've promised to not show a build that someone else has built that is actually runs a bit better. And Meowstic, you don't need to do the Shadow Ear extra damage because you have Bursting Balloons. You have Bursting Balloons, pretty much. Bursting Balloons in this are essential. You need to do extra damage. Take out the Meowstic. I would leave in the Mr. Mime, so your Magikarps don't get a hit on the bench. Although the Mr. Mime can be turned off with a Hex Maniac or a Garbodor, but it's yeah. Probably could take the Hex Maniac out, but yeah. You want to run one Shaman just because if you need to dig for double colourless, a Shaman will help. Team Magma Secret Base does 2 damage whenever someone puts a Pokemon on the bench that isn't a Team Magma Pokemon, which really helps in you doing which really helps with you setting up and hitting for a lot with a Magikarp. So 3 Magikarp on the bench with 2 damage counters on them. Full retaliation is doing 210, which is pretty cool. Things you need to look out for really are Garvantula, which will be coming up in a minute. You need to look out for Garvantula because that can hit the bench, and well, it only hits the bench really after that errata. Buddy Rescue, you don't need 4. This is just this build that I have here. Again, I'm not showing you the build that works better. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Test it if you want to. And so let's see what is going to be coming up at number. Hang on, wait. 1, 2. I forgot what number it is. I really have. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so coming in at number 6, we have Rainbow Road with this Rainbow Force attack from Xerneas. Rainbow Force does 30 extra damage for each different type you have on your bench. So you have a Shaman, that's 40 damage. You have a Bishop, that is an extra 60 damage, that's 100 damage now. You have a Volcanion EX, that is an extra 60 damage, that's 160 damage. You have a Garvantula, that is an extra 60 damage, that is 220 damage. You have another Xerneas on your bench, 250 damage. The damage adds up. It is all good. You put a Fighting Fury belt on, it's 260 damage. You're knocking out anything, pretty much, except for Wailord. Wailord with a Fighting Fury belt. But we don't really talk about Wailord. Again, these builds are not probably the best builds. It's just so you can test and make your own builds, really. I don't know why I said it quite so weirdly, but yeah, have a look at Rainbow Road. It is really viable. People have teched in what do you call them? A Genesect, just because it is basically a float stone for anything. You put a float stone on it, and then you can use the ability to take the float stone off and put it on something you don't want in the active, and then retreat it and attack with Rainbow Force. Okay, it's also another type on your bench, but you have Bishop, so why would you? Yeah, I am a fan of the Fairy Garden, the Fairy Garden variant instead of the Skyfield, just because as you can see, you can just put loads of different types on your bench. You don't need Skyfield. Okay, so what's coming up at number 5. This is when it gets a bit predictable. Okay, so in at number 5 we have Mega Scizor. This revolves around the Iron Crusher attack. You do 120 for 2 energy, which is ridiculous because it has extra things as well. And you discard a special energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon or a stadium in play. This can hurt a lot of decks. And if you're going to play it like I play it with energy denial as well, you can cripple almost any deck. And especially if you're running Garbodor, which why wouldn't you in this? It's another thing to frustrate your opponent with. You can see a theme with the energy denial, not gonna lie. And again, Delinquent makes an appearance. Have a look at this deck, test it for yourself. Again, this list is probably not the most best, it's probably not the most streamlined, but I like it when I play it, unless I'm playing against Volcanion. Volcanion. Okay, so let's see what's going to come up in at number 4. Okay, in at number 4 we have Volcanion with a tech, well, with 2 tech, Starmie. Starmie works really well with Volcanion. You can discard a card from your hand and then put 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Use Volcanion's ability Steam Up, put them back into your thing. If you have the other Starmie, you can do it again. If you have 4 Volcanion on your bench, that is an extra 120 damage. So Power Heater would be doing 140 with a Fighting Fury about 150, and it's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. You have to watch out for Garbodor, Hex Maniacs, and Silent Labs, but it's a good deck. I like it. You can play Dive Ball because you're playing Starmie. Don't play Octillery. And yeah, that is that. Skyfield, I think, is better than Scorched Earth. That's just my opinion. Leave your opinions in the comment section down below, and we can have a chat. And my phone is telling me I have an email. Okay, so what's coming in at number 3, number 2, and number 1? Because they're grouped together. Okay, so the first of my 1, 2, 3 is Greninja Break. I like this build that I've made. I'm probably going to take out a Greninja Break for a Team Skull Grunt when it's released, because you really only need 3 Greninja Breaks, but it is nice to have 4. I actually had an amazing match this morning with a guy playing Yveltal Garbodor, which unfortunately wasn't recorded. It was amazing. He went down to 1 prize. I went down to 2 prizes. I used all my VS Seekers to Delinquent. So I Delinquent once, put my stadium down. Next turn, Delinquent. He had no cards in his hand. He had 3 cards left in his deck. I knocked out his Yveltal by putting a bursting balloon on something. He couldn't Lysander out of it because I discarded his Lysander with Delinquent the previous turn. And oh my god, 1 prize left he had, and I had 2. And you can beat Yveltal Garbodor if you are lucky. If you are lucky, you can beat Yveltal. You can beat a deck that runs Garbodor. You just have to be really smart about how you play, or just bombard with Delinquent. I think that's what did it. Bombarding with Delinquent saved me that match. So what am I? Have a look at this. Ooh, what's this list? This list is basically 2 enhanced hammer just to get rid of double colourless, double dragon, other special energies. 2 max potions. You could play 3. Don't play 4. Professor's Letter. This is to get some energy if you ever need it, which is highly likely. 2 Super Rod to shuffle in Greninja and energy and things, because you will need it. Trainer's Meld is to speed it up and find what you need. The person that I think he came 6th or 5th or something at the European International Championships in London did not run any Trainer's Mail. I think that was a mistake, although he did do better than every other Greninja player, so who am I to judge? Who am I to give advice to him? Delinquent, this helps in the mirror. A Fisherman, Lysander, N, 3 of. Professor Sycamore, 3 of. 2 Silent Labs, 2 Bursting Balloon, 2 Splash Energy. This is just so you don't lose your Greninja over and over, and yeah. And then just 8 Energy. I like this build. I'm going to be playing this build at leagues and other things. But yeah, definitely getting rid of a Greninja Break for a Team Skull Grunt when it is released. Delinquent helps in the mirror because if your opponent puts the energy back into his hand that he used last turn, you can Delinquent, and if he only has 3 cards in his hand, he has to get rid of it, which is good. Team Skull Grunt probably is basically the same idea. Get rid of the energy in their hand, so they need to draw extra cards, and it makes them run out of resources faster. Okay, on to the next of my 1, 2, 3. It's probably going to be pretty predictable. Okay, here it is. Dark Dragons. Dark Dragons with Garbodor. I like the baby Yveltal in this just because it turns it into a 7 prize game for your opponent, and you get to set up another attacker on the bench. A Delinquent, again, obviously, because I love Delinquent. And this is the build. So it all revolves around Dark Pulse. You do 20 more damage for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Double Dragon Energy counts as any type of energy, so that's 2 extra dark energies on your Pokemon. so that is an extra 2 attachments. Max elixirs, helps set up, helps do more damage. It's good. Enhanced hammer is to basically disrupt Yveltal and the mirror match. Yveltal, baby Yveltal helps in the mirror as well, because it helps you get more energy out, and if you can't one hit KO, that's 2 extra energy for 1, which is good. I like it. So this is this build. Build it, test it if you want to, and yeah, let's move on to the final of my top 3, which you've probably all guessed it by now. It's been referenced in this and in the last one. You guessed it right. Yveltal, Garbodor. Fright Night Yveltal is ridiculous. You do 60 to the active and 60 to a benched EX. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yveltal EX. The Evil Ball does 20 more damage depending on how many energy is attached to both active Pokemon. So you could have 2 attached to this, and your opponent could have, like, if it's a... Hang on. If it is a Giratina with a Float Stone instead of a Fighting Fury Belt, and it has the 4 energy attached to attack, you're already doing 100. You need 4 energy on Yveltal to knock it out, and that is not hard to do. That really isn't. It is not hard at all. You could max elixir energy onto one on the bench and then use Olympia to switch. You can already have a double colourless attached to your Yveltal on the bench, and your one on the active got discarded last turn. This deck is really consistent, and that is why it won in London. That is why most of the top 8 were Yveltal decks. It's ridiculous. It actually is. It's actually ridiculous. So have a look at this build and let me know what you think of it. A comment section is always open to suggestions and for you to call me an idiot. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Orlando Breloom. You've been so awesome for watching this. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.